And that man immediately made my stomach turn. And the reason why I'm gonna say that, he was like, ooh, you bad. And so I was like, thank you. He was like, and I know I don't want to say it on TikTok, but he was like, that kitty probably good too. He was like, nobody marries dark skinned girls. What? Excuse me? Like, can I leave? Like, I was trying to make myself small.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That's what I be saying. Like he clearly, there's something off. That doesn't give you justification to say that to a woman. I don't know about y'all, but me personally, I've never been a fan of Kevin Gates personally. I've always thought he was a weirdo. Um, yeah. After hearing this story though, this isn't like the nail in the coffin. Like I said, I always thought he was weird. I never thought he was like a likable. He's never been likable to me. His music, I can go on and on. I'm not a fan of his music. I'm not a fan of his personality. He seems like a fucking liar, like just for the sake of lying. And we just have normalized it and turned it into like a meme and acted like it's funny. But really, he's just a fucking liar. That's all. That's to me. Like that's all I get out of him. I'm like, oh, this dude's a fucking narcissistic, fucking liar, abusive ass dude. Like he's a weirdo. But anyways, this woman tells a very like this story is sick. Like if allegedly if this really happened, I believe her, but it's still all alleged to say the least.
All right. So let's talk about it. That is me, Young Nay. Believe it or not, over a decade ago. And that is Kevin Gates. So, I worked at this radio station. I'm trying to get my hand to show against the thing. Hot 97.9. It was a Cumulus radio station. Later was iHeart. The Cumulus station I worked at, it was 5 stations under one roof. There was a country station, Gator 99, which still exists today. There was Hot 103.5, I want to say, which was like top, I don't know, it was like 80s hair metal and stuff, like throwback metal. There was Hot 97, which was the top 40. It was mostly hip hop and today's hits type thing. There was like talk station, I can't remember the call letters, and I want to say a gospel station. I initially, when I first started working there, I worked in sales. I did work for another radio station, like I was telling y'all the other day, KZWA, which was an independent black, locally owned station. But Cumulus Radio in our city at the time was these 5 stations under one roof, ran by Cumulus, later iHeart. This is early-ish in Kevin's, like right when he really started to blow up, like Satellites was like the hit. I had heard the song, like I would bop along, right? But I wouldn't consider myself a fan. Like I said, when I first started working at Hot 97, or at the Cumulus stations, I was initially in sales. So, then I have a radio voice. I don't do my radio voice often, but I have a radio voice. And I started using it to record like sample ads. And then everybody was like, hey, wait, your voice is really nice. And so I started doing actual copywriting, voiceover work, stuff like that. One of my favorite coworkers ever in history of all time, R.I.P. Latone Hart, aka the Dark Dick Clark, as he called himself, who was a DJ, who had been a DJ for a long time. He worked in Madison, Wisconsin, or he's from Madison, Wisconsin. He worked at stations all over the country. He landed here in Lake Charles, and he was on, he did the afternoon show on Hot 97. Eventually, he became like the program manager, but that was my dog. Unfortunately, COVID took him from us a couple years ago, but that was my dog. Even after we left Cumulus, we worked at KZWA, the other radio station I told you about together. Again, that was my dog. Even after I left KZWA, that was my dog. When he passed away, I was devastated. Anyway, so Kevin Gates has a concert here in Lake Charles, and he comes into radio to do drops. Y'all know, they record, hey, you rocking with the best Latone Hard Act 97.9. You know, whatever. He came in to record his drops and to talk about the concert real fast. It was supposed to be a real short interview. Kevin ended up sitting through the whole afternoon show. Our station manager at the time was like, "Hey, go sit in there. Go, you know, that's everybody else except for like me and Latone, and maybe one other person was white. So put that out there." They were like, "Oh, you know, that's your kind of people. Go in there." And I was like, "No, I don't want to be here. I don't even, you know, I know one song this dude made. Whatever." So we get in there, and he walks in. I'm sitting in the back corner minding my business. He was like, "Come up here." So I'm like, whatever. So I go to the front, I sit there, and that man immediately made my stomach turn. And the reason why I'm gonna say that, he was like, "Ooh, you bad." And so I was like, "Thank you." He was like, and y'all know I don't want to say it on TikTok, but he was like, "That kitty probably good too, but that sucks for you." And so I was like, "What you mean that sucks for me?" He was like, "Nobody marries dark-skinned girls." What? Excuse me? And he went on this whole tangent about why men don't marry or they don't keep dark-skinned girls, that we are relegated to being side pieces.
Isn't it like baby mama and his daughter? I don't know if they would be considered dark skinned, but they definitely ain't light skinned. I would say they're darker skinned, like Dreka Gates or whatever. And his daughter, that was weird. Like, what the fuck? Why would you say that?
And jump offs. And so I, at that point, was like, "Can I leave?" Like, I was trying to make myself small. Latone had, like, we had the, you know, the on-air mics, and then he had this little Yeti snowball. If you into music, recording, audio file, whatever, you know what I'm talking about, the little snowball. So he turned the snowball on, because he was like, "Did he just say that?" Like, we exchanged glances, like, what? Y'all, for the next couple hours, when we were not on the air, because he was live on the air with Latone, but like between songs and stuff. So when we were not on the air, that man was saying all kind of stuff. He told us he was Benjamin Button, or he had a disease like Benjamin Button. He was actually 125 years old. And
yeah, that sounded about right. That's what I be saying. Like he clearly there's something off, but that doesn't give you justification to say that to a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, he crazy or whatever you want to say, mentally unstable, but like, nah, like, you know, it to me is like trying to excuse a person with dementia being racist. Right? You see all those videos of like those old white people when they got dementia and they be calling black people the N-word and stuff, like the caretakers and shit. Absolutely not. I don't give a fuck. Where did that even come from? You know what I mean? Like, what, you just became racist? What? No. You've been racist this whole time and you was hiding it. Now you got dementia and you can't hide it anymore. That's what happened. So if he crazy, then whatever. But that's how you really feel, though, at the end of the day. So that's not a justification.
we just wasn't going nowhere. Then he said that slavery wasn't real. And I was like, "What is your basis for that?" He was like, "So you mean to tell me they squeezed all them people in that boat in that little bitty space, and them people ain't had no food, them people have no, what they did, they was chained to each other, they ate the excrement out of each other behind?" So I'm like, then he told us he wasn't black, he's Puerto Rican, and that's why he calls his mama mi madre, and
that makes sense. Now he wanted it, and I do remember him with the, y'all remember he got them pictures with the Indian feather and shit like that. Like, I can see that now. That makes sense now. He wanted them black people that don't know. He know black, he Dominican. He know black, he Puerto Rican. He know black, he Indian. I see.
That's why his album was, you know, he did the whole Luca Brasi thing, because he was Puerto Rican. Now, mind you, Luca Brasi is Italian. It's a character from The Godfather, and not Puerto Rican. But I was like, okay, sir, whatever. Y'all, he said the craziest stuff the entire time. So Latone is recording it. At this point, I have mentally checked out because I am ready to leave. Latone has recorded all the stuff that he said while we was off air on the snowball. However, we were, I guess, a little too giddy, because Latone was texting me while we're sitting there. He was like, "Bro, I am going to play this tomorrow. We about to blow this up. This dude is wild, like mad ignorant." Like, so we text and we go back and forth. And I guess we were a little too giddy about it and a little too obvious, because his security, because his bodyguard, Kevin's bodyguard, was in there the whole time. His bodyguard was like, "That microphone on?" I looked at Latone like, "Oh shit." And Latone was like, "Nah, man, I don't know what you're talking about." He was like, "Man, I think that thing on." So he made Latone show him that he had deleted the footage from the snowball. Now, Latone may have kept that footage somewhere, or the audio from it somewhere. However, his girlfriend, or his longtime fiance, I guess you could say, who is a dear, like she's a sweetheart, Des. Des, when he passed, she did gift a lot of his equipment to other people that he had worked with over the years that meant a lot to him. And so who knows if that audio is still in existence somewhere. But
Nah, that man's gone.
ever since that day, like I went home, I took Satellites out of my playlist. I've never listened to anything with Kevin Gates since then. And then that whole thing happened with him like kicking a lady and all this stuff. And I was like, makes sense, because dude is crazy. And then this whole thing recently with Brittany Renner and stuff, like, listen, I don't know. But I've known since 2014. Was that 2014? 2014-ish, I would think that guy isn't right. And I can't support him. Haven't gone to a show, haven't done it. I didn't go. We were supposed to go. We had passes to go to the show that he had that night, and I refused to go because I didn't want to be there. And even if you look at the picture, right, my station manager made us take this picture. So look at the picture. Even if you look at the picture, look at the snowball. I didn't even realize this in the picture. That white round thing is the microphone. His feet, first of all, it was very disrespectful for him to have his feet up on our furniture like that. But if you look at the picture, look how I'm leaning like away. I did not want to take that picture. You can tell. But yeah, and that was pre-lock. Those are actually Senegalese twists that I had done myself in a bob. So that was before the locks. I actually had a really big afro at the time. But yeah, that was interesting. Oh, my phone falling.
I mean, that's not shocking to anybody, right? Because Kevin Gates he gives off like very anti-black vibes, anti-black woman vibe. You know what I'm saying? Like he's the preference guy to me. That's what he gives off. So that story is not like, oh my God, you know what I'm saying? Like shocking, but I did I do just like, for me, like I like when I don't like a person or I don't care for a person, and then other people see what I see in them, and or like they have these types of experiences with them, and I'm like, all right, cool, bet. So I'm not crazy. So hopefully that is what it's like for y'all. Because like again, like I'm not a fan of Kevin Gates, never have been, never will be, and I always thought he was weird and on this type of time. So I never like gravitated towards him. But yeah, hearing somebody else kind of like articulate exactly what I always thought about him is, I ain't gonna lie, it's a little comforting. It's a little comforting.